Hey guys, today I'm going to teach you about the harvest of death. Jeffery Lee Owen, welcome to this edition of Satan's Strategic Command, dedicated to the advancement of Christian theology, explicating the mark of the beast. May God bless the reading of his holy word. Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 6, and there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great harlot that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stone and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. So guys, Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 6, we know is the final seat of all lost souls in the kingdom of hell, arrayed in a graduating scale in accordance to their works and their proximity to the appearing of Antichrist. And thus we have the image to the beast appearing as the names of blasphemy in the interior of the beast, and we know the beast is Antichrist, Revelation 13:18, and he had power to give life unto the beast. And he had, here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for as the number of a man, his number is 666. So we know that the image of the beast is the closest in spiritual proximity to the appearing of Antichrist, and the harlot is the closest in physical appearance to the appearing of Antichrist. And I saw the woman, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stone and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. We understand that the gold, precious stone, and pearls that are arrayed upon the woman are the souls of the harlot, are the souls of those that have all been assimilated into false apostate Christianity and have received the mark of the beast and are manifestly evaluated by God, John chapter 1, verse 4 and 5, as manifested by their works, and this is and their proximity to the appearing of Antichrist. And so they've been evaluated by God as jewels of Satan, children of Satan, and thus they appear in Satan's death warrant at Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 1 through 10, where the Bible says, Thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. We understand this to be the souls that Satan has captured in the final moments of Earth's history, and we know that that Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 6 depicts the evaluation of all those that are that receive the mark of the beast in the kingdom of hell. So Revelation chapter 17, 1 through 6 is also the divine proclamation of satanic administration of all flesh. It is Satan's declaration of horizontal immunity for iniquity, transgression, and sin, and the right to control all flesh on pain of death, as the spirit of Antichrist is in their blood, and the demons of hell are arrayed within their presence. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15 through 17, where the image of the beast appears, and it has power. It's given power horizontally amongst the civil powers to summarily kill human beings that will not render service to it, as it labors to fulfill the power and the presence of Satan within its own blood. It's daily. We know that it's daily. It's cursing and it's repeating words of death, and we know that this is actually how it's regenerating and renewing the spirit of Antichrist that's within its blood, and it's summoning the demons of hell within its presence. Isaiah chapter 54:16, Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. And Revelation chapter 18, verse 1 and 2 gives us the cup of devils, the fulfillment of all devils that are arrayed in upon all flesh that are aligned with Satan and are manifestly declared to be his children at his coming. So Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 6 is hell. It is the void of all souls. It is the void of all souls bereft of the indwelt presence of God, the darkness and most disastrous prophetic view in all of sacred scripture. Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 20, the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. We know that these people are no longer, once people receive the mark of the beast, they're no longer capable to cultivate the fruits of righteousness within their souls. Galatians 5:22 and 23. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they're no longer capable to magnify the glory of God in their lives. They've been vertically detached from the glory and residing in mercy and grace in the presence of God. So this is their declaration in Jeremiah 8:20 is the fact that they have the mark of the beast. When they declare the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved, they are declaring that they are cognizant, that they are no longer that vessels of God's presence. John 4:16, 1 John 4:16, for God is love, and he that dwells in love dwells in God, and God in him. And they are only cognizant that God is coming to judge them in their iniquity. So we know the identity of the image of the beast for everyone to retain cognizance of its presence and purpose. Revelation chapter 14, verse 9 and 10. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, the same shall drink of the wine and wrath of God. So we have the manifestation of the beast first, which empowers. It empowers. It's anointed with the anointing of Antichrist by the beast. The beast appears, and first the beast appears. This is very important too, and the third angel's message of Revelation chapter 14, verse 9 and 10. First the beast appears, and then the beast summons. We know that the beast summons the image to the beast, his image, his corporeal body, to cultivate the harvest of death in the world. And he summons them, he commissions them, and he anoints them with the spirit of Antichrist to go into all the world as his ministers and administrators and mediators between all flesh and the spirit of Antichrist. It's basically the image of the beast is the church of Satan. It is the people that are there to cultivate the harvest of death and to bring this to fruition within the souls of all flesh and then thus in their environments. So we know the identity of the image of the beast, and that gives everybody the ability to retain cognizance of its presence and purpose within their lives. Revelation chapter 14, verse 9 and 10. So we have the beast appears first, and then the beast summons its image, and this actually appears in Revelation chapter 13, verses 11 through 14. It summons its image, it commissions it to deceive the entire world, and it gives it power to pour out the spirit of Antichrist. This is spiritual. This is a spiritual judgment. This is a judgment by God, allowing the beast to summon his image and to cultivate the harvest of death in the world within the souls of men. And then, of course, everyone that is in direct communication and even passively, everyone that's in direct communications that is actively seeking to worship the image to the beast, and even passively is actually being transformed into a child of Satan. We know this spiritually, that this is what's taking place. We know the image of the beast is pouring out the spirit of Antichrist, and it's soliciting the worship of death today. It's poisoning the blood of every single human being that it possibly can for the harvest of death. It's cultivating the harvest of death both directly and passively on every single person that it can. But people that are talking to it directly from face to face, an organized crime, the Bible explicates this. I personally believe this process is being expedited, and these people are transforming rapidly into children of Satan with the mark of the beast. And that's what the Bible makes it very clear. If any man worship the beast and his image, the same shall drink of the wine and wrath of God. And this is God allowing people to, by their fellowship and communion, by taking communion with the image to the beast, these people are being transformed into children of Satan supernaturally by the manifest presence and power of God. They're choosing to do it. We know Romans 3:13 gives us the full spiritual process of the transfer of the spirit of Antichrist from the image to the beast to the creature. We know the image of the beast has the seal of Satan and predestination, and that thus this is why it's acting on what it's acting on as it is today, soliciting the worship of death and pouring out the spirit of Antichrist upon all flesh. So we have the line of satanic criminal psychopathology, and the first we have the appearing of the beast, the summons of the beast to summon his image to harvest the world with the worship of death, and then we have the manifestation of the population taking communion with the image of the beast, both directly and passively, and being transformed into children of Satan by the manifest power and declaration of Holy Father God. So the seal of Satan, we know the image of the beast is bearing the seal of Satan, and he has power to pour out the Spirit of Antichrist upon the children of God and the children of man. He's doing it on everybody, only that the Bible makes it very clear that the people that love God will come back from this. They'll survive this. They'll survive it, and they'll overcome it. They'll overcome it, and they'll overcome the beast and the world, and they will be sealed with the seal of God, and will rise up to meet the Lord in the air and receive eternal life through the gospel of Jesus Christ. But some people are not going to overcome it. They're going to be consumed by it. I understand more than anybody how terrible these people are. I mean, it's just horrible. To be exposed to them daily is the worst thing any human being could possibly. I can't see why anybody would want to be in their presence with what they're doing. We know they left their habitation. We know they're pouring out the spirit of Antichrist and the worship of death on their immediate family members and their extended family members. They left their habitation and they sold their souls to Satan for sexual and monetary control, as the harlot is manifestly declared by God as seated by the image of the beast, the corporeal manifestation of the spirit of Antichrist in our world that cultivates the harvest of death for the appearing of Antichrist within our world. And she's a harlot, and she's decked with gold, precious stone, and pearls. So here we have the seed of Satan within the heart of the image of the beast, as it left its habitation and began pouring out the worship of death upon all flesh. So everything they say is a lie. Every single thing, and that should be clear to everybody now. Everything they're saying is a lie. It's just poison disguised as lemonade. Everybody should be aware of that now. So this is the cup of abominations. When you're talking to them, you're drinking of the cup of abominations that the woman has. This is the kingdom of Babylon that's that's attempting to come to power within democracy and overthrow the democracies and the constitutions of men, as the seal of Satan resides within the constitution of the image of the beast. So this is the cup of abominations and filthiness of fornications running over as the desire for Satan's presence and purpose within the heart of the image of the beast. And we know that Babylonian captivity is nothing more than assimilation. This is what Babylonian captivity was all about. When the four Hebrew worthies were taken by force from Jerusalem, King Nebuchadnezzar could have done anything to him he wanted to at that time. But King Nebuchadnezzar knew exactly what he wanted to do, and his presence and purpose was to fulfill within the hearts of these four Hebrew young men. And it was to assimilate them into Babylon. He gave them their food to eat. He brought them cognizance of Babylonian customs. He gave them a Babylonian education, and his desire was for assimilation. It was not to conquer the wills of these children and overcome them by brute force and by just the idea of Nebuchadnezzar was to take these four Hebrew children, which were children that were noteworthy of being worthy of nobility, and he was aware of that. These were children that were not common children. They were intellectuals, and they were spiritual men that were close to God, and I'm sure King Nebuchadnezzar knew this also. And so his idea was to captivate these people within the Babylonian system and to change them into Babylonians. This is the only true way to conquer an enemy in totality is to assimilate them within your presence and your purpose. And this is what King Nebuchadnezzar had in mind. What he wanted to do was to turn these children into Babylonians. First thing he did was give them Babylonian names. He fed them Babylonian food, and he gave them an education in all the customs and the customs and the intellect that was contained by the Babylonians. And the reason he did this was to assimilate Judaism and knowledge that these young boys could cultivate within their own hearts and minds as they became more and more cognizant of Babylonian society. Nebuchadnezzar's goal was to assimilate these men's knowledge within his own consciousness and within his own kingdom. This was the sole purpose of taking 4 Hebrew worthies from Jerusalem and putting them into the king's palace. It was not to torture them, and it was not to overthrow them and to prove that Babylon was superior in any way form. It wasn't anything like that at all. His purpose, the king's purpose, was to assimilate their knowledge and their ability to collate and cultivate wisdom and truth within their own hearts, and to expose for him also to get exposure to Judaic customs, religion, and education and intellect. And so the whole purpose was to take taking these 4 Hebrew worthies and putting them in close proximity to him, was to assimilate them into Babylonian culture and assimilate their knowledge, so he would be that much more of an intellectual, and he would be worthy of being king over his kingdom. And that's what cultures did. This is what the Babylonians did. Every single culture that they conquered, when they took prisoners that were intellectuals of society and people that were noteworthy, they assimilated these people into the Babylonian culture. And the idea was to cultivate and to harvest their intellect and their ideas and their culture into Babylon, so the king could educate himself and retain cognizance through discourse with these children of different cultures, and he would be that much more of a better king in his ability to collate knowledge and to reside in wisdom and in godly wisdom, and to be worthy of being king over every single subject in Babylon. You know, there's only one king, and that's what the Babylonian captivity of the 4 Hebrew worthies was about. It wasn't about after the Jews' material possessions were taken, and their land and their culture was conquered, and the majority of the people were killed. The people that were taken captives were assimilated into Babylon, and the ones that were the intellectuals were the ones that were arrayed in closest proximity to the king of Babylon himself, which was every single human being was under him and subject to his wisdom and his grace. And thus he labored continuously and tirelessly to assimilate knowledge in every second of every day, so he could be the wisest man and worthy of being king over the entire world as the Babylonian reigned within its time. So we see this very same assimilation happening today. We see this happening with the image to the beast. And the image of the beast, while it is going out and it is attempting to overthrow with the seal of Satan, the constitution of Satan within its own heart, it's doing exactly what the Babylonian king did 2,500 years ago with the Jews. First, it's proclaiming its dominance and its right to exterminate all flesh in its presence that will not render service to it. And secondly, it's laboring to assimilate as much knowledge as it possibly can and incorporate intellectuals that it perceives can give it advantage to impose penalty upon all flesh, as it labors to make all flesh subject unto it on pain of death. And it's assimilating knowledge. It's assimilating knowledge. For instance, my car, the check engine light just went off on my car. And I know why it went off. It went off because two men got in my car when I was at a store yesterday. And so I know they got in my car and they broke one of the parts on my EGR system. Okay. And they did this. How they did this is they got a Honda mechanic to tell them who, what, when, where, and how, and why, what part to break, how to break it, and when the check engine light would go off on the car, and what this would do to the car and the mechanical system of the car. So this is what the image of the beast is doing as it continuously labors in organized crime. It's not only laboring to conquer the population with the fear of death in subjugation by the manifest declaration of horizontal immunity for iniquity, transgression, and sin, and the right to execute people with the seal of Satan, Revelation 13:15-17, that resides in predestination within its heart. It's also laboring to assimilate within the professions and the systems that reside in United States democracy, so when the time comes, it can identify the right people to subject unto death and to subject on threats of death unto itself, and force them to labor for it when the time comes for it to raise up the appearing of Antichrist within our world. So this is exactly what the image of the beast, as it is pouring out the spirit of Antichrist and it's soliciting the worship of death in the United States population today, it's doing exactly what the Babylonian king did 2,500 years ago with the four Hebrew worthies. And we see this. We see the golden cup in the woman's hand, which represents the kingdom of Babylon. And we all know that every kingdom requires the presence of a king. That's how it's worked out from days of old in kingdoms and in incorporating governmental bodies. We have legislators and we have presidents. We have in every country in the world, we have one person that's responsible for the majority of the people within that country. We have a king in every single country, and this is a manifestation of God's kingdom. And the king that rules, there's only one King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and that's Jesus Christ. And so we understand that the golden cup that appears within the harlot's hand in Revelation chapter 17, verse 1-6, is the kingdom of Babylon. And we know the Antichrist cannot crown himself in the kingdoms of men until he has first seated himself as king in the hearts of all flesh. So thus this passage doesn't depict and say, okay, here's the golden vessel that empowers the entire world and poisons their blood with the spirit of Antichrist, and this is the appearing of that king that is poisoning the entire world and their blood with the spirit of Antichrist. No, it's depicted as a kingdom, and it's depicted as a kingdom with servants in subjection unto it in false apostate Christianity as gold, precious stone, and pearls. And we understand this to be the souls of those that have been evaluated by God, that are laboring in ecclesiastically to appear in closest physical proximity to the appearing of Antichrist within our world. So the golden cup and the ornaments of gold upon the harlot are the souls of those in closest physical proximity to the appearing of Antichrist in our world. And it represents assimilation into Babylon in its highest degree, as their works captivate souls without cognizance of what is truth. We know that Babylonian captivity is depicting the mark of the beast and the kingdom of Antichrist in the final moments of Earth's history, and Babylonian captivity is lack of understanding of what is true. John chapter 8, verse 31 and 32. If you continue in my words, then are you my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Here's a reference to another reference here to captivity. When you look at the Luke 4:18, we understand this, John 8:31 and 32, to be a reference to satanic captivity in Babylon with the mark of the beast just before the second advent of Jesus Christ, as all souls that receive the mark of the beast before his appearing. Luke 4:18 says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind. And we know this is a spiritual sight when we look at 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 3 and 4 and 6 and 7. But we do know this recovering of the captives is ultimately in captivity of all flesh that lives through the final moments of Earth's history with the mark of the beast. So we know when Jesus says, you'll know the truth and the truth shall make you free, he's depicting people escaping from the mark of the beast by being cognizant of what is true. John 17:3. And this is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent. So we have the appearing of those souls and false apostate Christianity as they have been evaluated by God, and the golden ornaments that appear upon the harlot are those that are are in immediate physical proximity to death, as it resides within the tabernacle of man, and the Antichrist appears within our world. Their works have evaluated them as they labored with Antichrist, the spirit of Antichrist in their blood, and the demons of hell arrayed in their presence, to captivate all souls with the seal of Satan, as it is manifested in Revelation chapter 13, verse 15 through 17. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, receive a mark on the right hand and their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. So we see that there was in Babylon, there was this unifying power to bring wisdom and knowledge and experience, and to anoint the king with this, because in Babylon at this time, this king could kill anybody he wanted to. He could kill the person right next to him and nobody could say anything about it. He could kill anybody in his kingdom. He had the kingdom in subject unto him on pain of death. And as we reside in democracy today, the image to the beast is laboring. This is why Revelation 13:15 gives us the image of the beast laboring for horizontal immunity, the right to summarily execute people in democracy, democratic process, and constitutional protections to satiate its own satanic desires, so it can experience the presence and the purpose of Antichrist in its contaminating influences in fullness within its blood, and it can make manifest by when the seal of Satan becomes operational within its environment, it can make manifest the appearing of Antichrist within our world. So we have the golden cup, and the very first ornament upon the harlot is depicted as gold. There, she's got golden ornaments upon her, and these are people that are systemically, and these are systemically as they're operational within false apostate Christianity, and in their worship of death, and as we know, she's fornicated with the world, and I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints, and she having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication, as she fornicates with the world, and as she lies against the glory of God. And these golden vessels are those that will be in direct communion, if not on a daily basis, with death, the king of death, seated in the tabernacle of man. So it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. What God's depicting here is going to come upon these people that have fellowshipped. They fellowship. Now we know the image of the beast is the closest spiritual proximity. It's the names of blasphemy that appear within inside the beast, and thus it's the one. The image of the beast is the vessel that goes out and enjoys, if you could put it that way, enjoys the power to summarily execute people, to fulfill the fulfillment of the cup of devils and the purpose of Antichrist, the spirit of Antichrist within its blood. And that's what it's laboring for. It's laboring because once this group of people, if they obtain horizontal immunity to summarily execute people, then they don't need anybody else in service. Once they have fooled civil and ecclesiastical powers and they gain that measure, then anybody that tries to take it back away from them, we know in the United States we have probably, millions and millions of laws, and any one of them can be repealed at any time, but not in the presence of death. There's only one way to silence all opposition of righteousness, and that's on pain of death. And that's exactly what the image of the beast is laboring for. It's laboring as manifest by the seal of Satan. It's laboring to be able to summarily execute people, identify people within their professional operations within democracy and democratic society, and having them labor within their purpose to blind people to what is truth and to lift up death as the king over all flesh. And this is exactly what the image of the beast is doing as it labors to fulfill the seal of Satan within its own heart and the power civilly to summarily execute people that will not serve it, that we know is sexually and monetarily as it sold its soul to Satan, and to manifest the causality of the mark of the beast via what I believe is a religious tax. And how did I say that yesterday? It's which appears to me to be a religious tax, which it's laboring only once it can fulfill the first facet of its appearing in Revelation 13:15. It can kill anybody in civil and ecclesiastical power, and nobody can find out about it. It doesn't have anything it's lifted itself up, and it's manifestly declaring the seal of Satan and the mark of the beast upon everybody within its environment, and it's demanding, it's a dead soul residing in suspended animation. It's demanding the appearance of Antichrist within our world. And thus we have the depiction of Babylonian captivity, because what the spirit of Antichrist is doing today within the United States of America and the United States democracy, attempting to incorporate the worship of death, the seal of Satan, into the United States Constitution, is exactly what the king of Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar, and then his successor Belshazzar did in ancient Babylon. They killed anybody that was in opposition or that threatened their kingdom and their rule, their individuality. And if you threaten the individuality of a king, you're not even supposed to look at the king. I imagine you can't even look at him, and if you belittle him, you can be walking out of his chamber with your head in your hand. And that was the purpose. That was part of the purpose of assimilating the Hebrew words, to put them into service unto the king and to assimilate their knowledge, their culture, so the king would be that much more wiser in ruling his kingdom, dealing with his people, dealing with opposition wherever that may arise. And, think of all the sciences that existed back then. These people were not stupid by any means. They're probably smarter than me, smarter than most of the people in the population that aren't educated. These people were I know there's some instruments that are used to analyze stars and stuff. They don't even know what they do. Scientists the smartest people in the world, all over the world, can't even figure. And ask what an astro, I think it's an astro, they don't even know what it does. They can't figure it out. These people were extremely intelligent. And so they assimilated, the king of Babylon assimilated as much knowledge as he possibly could. And we see the same thing happening today to govern his kingdom. We see the same thing happening today with the image to the beast on a large scale, as the image of the beast labors to assimilate professions and render people in service to it until it can fulfill Satan's presence and purpose within its own blood, which is forcing all people to serve it and its illicit desires on pain of death, which actually is, when you look at this as the application of the seal of Satan that appears in Revelation 13, 15 through 17, we understand this to be the mark of the beast. So the image of the beast is the cloak of Satan's presence sealed in the heart of man, Revelation chapter 17, verse 17. And he had power to give life in the image. Excuse me. That's not it. Revelation 17, 17. I repeat it to you guys all the time. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of God should be fulfilled. Here's the manifestation of the image of the beast giving its labors, its time and attention and affections as it desires to kill human beings for sexual and monetary subservience. And it does so as one mind, one voice, and one singular vision with Antichrist, the spirit of Antichrist, as it has been anointed, and it labors for that manifestation of power to subjugate all flesh within its environment on pain of death. The image of the beast is the ambassador of Satan, Revelation chapter 13, 4. And they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him. And the war is made, the harvest is cultivated by the image of the beast. We know the image, the Satan cannot crown himself in the kingdoms of men until he has first seated himself as king in the hearts of all flesh. And that cultivating harvest is manifested by the image of the beast. Because Satan the Antichrist, we see the lineage here. We see the dragon, and they worship the dragon, but we see the lineage of the spirit of Antichrist go from the dragon to the beast to the image of the beast in Revelation chapter 13, 4, and Revelation chapter 14, verse 9 and 10, and then it is transferred to the entire world that is in discourse. When you're talking to the image of the beast about organized crime, and you are being assimilated, you are being contaminated, you are being infected with, it's just like being spiritually, it's just like being bitten by a rattlesnake or a king cobra. Your blood is being contaminated with the spirit of Antichrist, as these people have the seal of Satan within their hearts. They're laboring to kill the children of God and the children of man today by soliciting the worship of death and pouring out death upon the population. And they are spiritually transferring the spirit of Antichrist to every single person that they talk to about organized crime. So we have the woman. The woman has a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And so we see this woman, she's drinking, she's disseminating. She's willfully drinking of the spirit of Antichrist. And she is disseminating this throughout her union. Okay. And be not deceived, God is not mocked, and with God is terrible majesty. This is false apostate Christianity. This is not any denomination, and this is not, and like I was telling you guys yesterday, you cannot be focused on darkness. If you're just looking for a manifestation of darkness, you're looking in the wrong place, because only light can evaluate what is in darkness. John chapter 1, verse 4 and 5. In him was life, and that life was the light of men, and the light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. If you're just looking for a manifestation of death appearing within our world, you're looking in a way in the wrong place, because only light can evaluate what is in darkness. Only the presence of God can reveal to people what is true, and the darkness has no power whatsoever. So if you're just looking for darkness and a manifestation of that, you're looking in the wrong. You're on a fool's errand. You're looking at the wrong. you're looking at the wrong system, and you're just contaminating yourself with influences that you shouldn't be contaminating yourself with. Proverbs chapter 23, 31 and 32 says it like this: Look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth his color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. At the last it biteth like a serpent, and it stingeth like an adder. And this appears to me, guys, to be a direct reference to the cup that the woman holds. This is Proverbs chapter 23, 31 and 32, probably King Solomon. And it looks to me to be a prophetic view that as the Spirit anointed King Solomon. It looks to me to be a direct reference to the mark of the beast and those that have it within. And it's the thing is, we know that the spirit of Antichrist that resides within all of Babylonian captivity is depicted as scarlet color. It's depicted as the beast is depicted as scarlet color, and the woman is arrayed in purple and scarlet color. And this is a manifestation of her union and her communion together, and they're being one mind, one voice, and one singular vision with Antichrist. And so she's drinking. We know that she's drunken with the blood of the saints. But this blood is also depicted here as wine. She's drinking wine, and the wine is contaminated. It's making her drunken, and it's making her confused, and that's what's being depicted here within this passage, is spiritual confusion and lack of cognizance of what is true. She's drunken with the blood of the saints, and this is a specific reference to the fact that she's not cognizant of what is true. She's no longer vertically receiving of the fruits of righteousness and life within her soul, and those that are adhered within her system in Babylonian captivity, and she's no longer capable of magnifying the glory of God within her life. And so she cannot perceive her soul. She's no longer residing in the light of life. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. She's residing in suspended animation as dead souls with the mark of the beast. They're darkened. The Bible depicts them as being black in Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 21. After they first declare that the harvest is past, the summer's ended, we are not saved, God looks down, and this is God experiencing the darkness that resides within their souls. So as she drinks of communion and fellowship with the image to the beast, that is the manifestation of her presence, purpose, and power revealed to all flesh. As she drinks in of communion with the image to the beast and with her fornications and blasphemies, she becomes more and more captivated in darkness and not able to understand and be cognizant of what is true. John 17:3, and this is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent. So we know that it says here, look not upon the wine when it is red. So it's not only blood that she's drinking, it's wine. It's wine. The blood of the saints depicted here is also depicted as wine. And this is what it appears to me here in Proverbs chapter 23, verse 31 and 32. It's depicted as wine that is intoxicating people's blood and darkening their cognizance of what is true. And so that's what's being depicted here within Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 6. And it looks like this is what is being referred to here in this prophetic view in Proverbs chapter 23, verse 31 and 32. Look not upon the wine when it is red. So this gives us more information. This gives us more information about what is taking place in Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 6, just as Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 30 gives us the absolute manifestation of the mark of the beast and the total evacuation of the Spirit of grace within all those that reside within Revelation chapter 17, whose souls are evaluated by God and have the mark of the beast and appear in Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 6 in the final moments of Earth's history. Okay, so looking back at these prophecies and these prophetic views, they're pointing and they're giving us more information about what is taking place in Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 6. We would not have a full picture of what's taking place in in Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 6, and a full understanding of this captivity without looking back to some of the references that God has hidden for us. He's hidden it for us. He's hidden it from us. He's hidden it for us. And this is what the Bible states. And the Bible states that God has hidden his wisdom for the saints. It's not for people that'll go out and sexually abuse God's children and murder people to keep it concealed from the population, and people being able to report through mass media that the image of the beast is committing murders to steal money and to sexually abuse God's children. This is not what God laid up the wisdom for the saints for. This is, the wisdom in this book, it's laid up for the saints. It's not laid up for the image of the beast and just because God predicted that the image to the beast would do this, it would sell its soul to Satan. And as the Babylonian king labored to assimilate all kingdoms within his power, so does the image of the beast today. Just because God predicted it doesn't mean that he's in it. In him is light, and there's no darkness at all. 1 John chapter 1, verse 5 through 7. So we know that every one of these souls are captivated in darkness in Revelation chapter 17, verse 1 through 6. Jeremiah chapter 8 gives us God witnessing the darkness, the residence of death that resides within everybody that receives the mark of the beast in this Babylonian kingdom. Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 20. Here's God witnessing, for the hurt of the daughter of my people am I hurt. I am black. Astonishment hath taken hold there. Here's the mark of the beast. Boom. Hey, what happened? All of a sudden we've translated, just as a cancer comes on our body and we didn't know about it, so will be the mark of the beast. It'll come upon their bodies and in their souls, just as a disease would come into their bodies. They won't know about it until they feel it. They feel the miseries and the pain and the torment that comes upon them. And then it comes and the final at the last, it stingeth like an adder and it'll bite like a serpent, and they'll know what it is. So Proverbs chapter 8, verse 31 and 32. Look not upon the wine when it is red. And this is a direct reference. So we know this appears to me to be a direct reference to the kingdom of Babylon. And it's depicting the blood that is inside this golden vessel that's being uplifted by the harlot that we understand to be the king. We know every kingdom requires the presence of a king. And so this cup that this woman's lifting up is not only the blood of the saints. The Bible's giving us it's a double meaning for it. It's also wine. It's depicted as wine, and it's making people intoxicated so they're not cognizant of what is true and the presence of death when it comes in fulfillment in the tabernacle of God, in the temple of God, and proclaiming itself that it is God, so they won't be cognizant of what's standing right next to them. Because, just as the Babylonian king, it needs, in the days of Babylon, it needs the power of death. It needs servants that will serve it, that will serve death to the population holistically, women, children, unborn children, so it can fulfill its presence and it can reveal itself as king over all that love death and are the manifest presence of its children. So Proverbs chapter 23, verse 31 and 32. Look not thou upon the wine when it is red. And this is God himself declaring here through his prophet to not look at this golden vessel when it appears in our world. Look not upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth his color in the cup. Here's a reference. Now we've got a pronoun here that's it's giving it a designation as a person. Okay, this here is declaring. This is right here. We have a declaration that the golden cup. This is what appears to me to be. It'd be a declaration that the golden cup that appears within the woman's hand is none other than Antichrist. It's the king over all that are captivated with the mark of the beast in the kingdom of Babylon. Look thou not upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth his color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright, when it stands up like a man It's clothed and it's covered in the temple of God, which we know what the temple of God is. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 makes that absolutely crystal clear. We know what the temple of God is. Let me get that for you guys. I'm giving you guys a bunch of information. I'm trying to give you guys as much understanding as I possibly can. I'm going through humongous amounts of scripture, and that I could just branch off I could talk scriptures for just days on end. So, 1 Corinthians 6, 19 and 20, what know you not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which you have of God, and ye are not your own, for you are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God. Paul puts it this way in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, the son of lawlessness, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, shewing himself that he is God. So when you look at Proverbs 23, 31, and 32, we have a pronoun applied to the golden vessel that appears in the woman's hand as a cup, that is the embodiment and the empowerment, and that is actually the source of the spirit of Antichrist. As the civil and ecclesiastical union comes to fullness, it's the source of the spirit of Antichrist that's being poured out upon all flesh that are manifestly declared and manifestly laboring to be children of Satan, and to be ready to meet him at his coming, with the inhabitation and service to death residing within, as the spirit of Antichrist in their blood, and the demons of hell arrayed in their presence. And so, look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth his color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. And this appears to me to be a manifestation of the spirit of Antichrist as it resides within the temple of God. And thus we have the spirit of Antichrist as a golden vessel that is drunken with the blood of the saints, that is also depicted as wine that is intoxicating all flesh with the spirit of Antichrist. At the last it biteth like a serpent, and it stingeth like an adder. So we know here it looks to me that we have here, by Holy Father God, a commandment that when he appears, apparently there's still going to be people that are capable of receiving the mark of the beast that have not received it. And they're admonished and commanded by Holy Father God here, it appears here to me, to not look at him. And because we know he's the fowler. He's the fowler. He's the one that sends out all the demons. He's the king. He's the king of death. And he is laboring to subjugate all flesh in service to death unto him, just as the king of Babylon manifestly declared his power over all flesh in ancient times, and ran his kingdom according to his will. That's how every single human being, every single soul in the kingdom of Babylon in 2,500 years ago was subject to the will of the king. Okay? And that's exactly the labors of what the image of the beast is doing today. It's laboring for civil and ecclesiastical union that appears in Revelation chapter 17, verse 3 and 4 as the beast and the harlot. It's laboring for a civil and ecclesiastical union of the right people at the right time that will yield service to it and allow it horizontal immunity for iniquity, transgression, and sin, and the right to issue death warrants on anybody that will not accept the mark of the beast in its presence. So, let's keep going. The image of the beast claims absolute immunity for iniquity, transgression, sin in the presence of God. Romans chapter 7, verse 12 through 14, and this is the manifestation of death that resides within its heart. Wherefore the law is holy, the command of holy, just, and good was in that which good made death unto me. God forbid sin, that it might appear sin, working death in me. And that this work is an absolute 100% positive ID, that the image of the beast has the mark of the beast, and as the spirit of Antichrist is seated within and sealed within its heart. Revelation chapter 18, verse 1 and 2 and 5, where we have the cup of devils, fulfillment and overflow, which is the manifest presence of Antichrist within our world. We have the one angel come down from heaven and witnessing the arrangement of all the demons of hell, the spirit of Antichrist contaminating the blood of all those that have the mark of the beast, and the demons of hell arrayed within their presence. And of course, and it states here, and I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the carriage of every unclean and hateful bird. So here it declares the fall of Babylon, the vertical detachment from the glory of Holy Father God. It's fallen from grace. They're no longer residing in mercy and grace, and they're only residing in judgment, and the demons of hell are arrayed within their presence as the angel is witnessing this. So that's what when the angel declares Babylon is fallen, it's declaring the mark of the beast in fullness upon all flesh. And verse 5, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. So here we have, I personally believe that this is a direct reference to the workings of the image to the beast, which is the corporeal body. It's the church of Satan. It's a civil power, but it is the church of Satan. It labors for, it promotes and promulgates ecclesiastical fraud to civil powers, and it takes organized crime in the form of a religious tax that it's trying to put in its own pocket to ecclesiastical powers. And it thus labors for immunity horizontally to fulfill the worship service and its worship of death to satiate its satanic desires. And as so we know that as Revelation 13, 15 through 17 gives us, the light of God's word gives us, we know that it's laboring for a civil manifestation of immunity to summarily execute people that it wants to render in service unto it, as it has the seal of Satan, and it to cause the mark of the beast to come upon them and render service so flesh will render service unto it without discretion, just as the king of Babylon could do in Babylonian times. I mean, the king of Babylon probably had hundreds of sexual partners in close proximity to him that he could summon at any time that he so desired. He could command anything within his kingdom as far as sexually and monetarily. Everything worked according to his will. And this is the same manifestation of the kingdom of Antichrist that the image of the beast is laboring to impose upon all flesh in our world today. It's within its own simple environment. You know, it may claim that, that it doesn't want an overthrow, and it doesn't want all these, but nothing can be further from the truth, because we know it's working. The image of the beast is working as one mind, one voice, and one singular vision with the spirit of Antichrist. And when they're all fulfilling this ministry, we have the fulfillment and we have the manifest appearing of Antichrist in our world. And so Revelation chapter 18, verse 5, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. I personally believe this is another declaration of Revelation 13, 15 coming to pass, as the image to the beast convinces civil authorities to give it power to summarily execute any human being that will not render sexual and monetary service to it. So it's a very bad deal. You don't ever talk to the image of the beast about organized crime, because all it's trying to do is to kill you and render you in service unto it on pain of death. And there's no such thing as protection in the sight of the beast and his image, the dragon and his servants, and the spirit of Antichrist. Protection is nothing more than assimilation within the kingdom of Babylon. And so Revelation chapter 18:5, for sins have reached unto heaven, God hath remembered her iniquities. I personally believe that this is the image of the beast, laboring to convince civil authorities to write laws, basically making it immune, making it like somebody that's not even a American citizen. It's somebody that cannot be judged horizontally by its neighbors, and people will will not be allowed to be cognizant of the manifestation of its illicit works by the fact that it has power to summarily execute people. Do you think the common people knew what the king was doing in the kingdom of Babylon? No, they didn't know his intimate details on a day-to-day basis, and they didn't know the intimate details of running the kingdom of Babylon and how the king was administrating every facet economically, politically, socially of Babylon. And we know the king had 100%. His will was the kingdom of Babylon. Nobody could oppose the will of the king, so it's terrible. This is the image of the beast is pouring out the spirit of Antichrist upon all flesh. 1 John 2:15-18, 1 Timothy 6:10. Satanic captivity and service to death. John chapter 8 verse 44. To fulfill its own lust and satanic desires, its cup runneth over. And that's the manifestation. This is the golden cup in the woman's hand. This is what the image of the beast is laboring for. Here's another facet of what's going on in Revelation chapter 17, 1-6. This is what the image of the beast is laboring for. It's laboring to be within its own small environment, that golden cup that is fulfilled in satanic desire as it labors to satiate itself in a harvest, to cultivate a harvest that it cannot cultivate without soliciting the worship of death and democracy and constitutional protections as it stands today, and as the United States Constitution disseminates rules of fairness, judgment, justice, and righteousness. Okay, the harvest that it's laboring for is manifestly declared in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1-7. So, John chapter 8, verse 44, you are their father the devil, and the less your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there's no truth in him. When he speaketh of